Merab Dvalishvili sets a pace that breaks men. That's not opinion, that's a goddamn fact. 49 takedown attempts in a single fight, non-stop pressure, ragdolls an Olympic champion. His cardio looks inhuman. So the internet is asking, is it EPO, is it genetics, or is it just pure grind? And if it's just hard work, why isn't everyone doing it? And if it's just genetics, where are the numbers? And if it's the drugs, where's the proof? Today we separate rumour from receipts, and in this video we're going to break down Merab slipping up, talking about EPO and why we think he could be on it, the debate between genetics and performance enhancement drugs, the science behind his insane cardio, and whether he truly is a genetic machine or whether he could be doping.
Merab didn't start the fire, he just never tires, but the fans conspire. Merab didn't start the fire, he's a freak of nature, or a blood test cheater.
So where did all these rumours come from? The talk about Merab being on EPO started because of his seemingly endless gas tank, cardio that just did not make sense. So it wasn't until the Petr Yan fight that people started paying attention to it. And he didn't just have good cardio, it looked light years ahead of anyone in the division. And like, we're talking the best of the best. So in that fight, Merab attempted 49 takedowns, and after that, the internet exploded. Here's what people were saying. So one dude, he says, "What in the flying F is that cardio though? Alien shit." And another, "I need video evidence of Merab being tired so that we can prove he's human." This guy couldn't believe it. There was no effing way Merab is not on EPO. I've grappled in college and legitimately have not seen this pace from people who were blatantly taking PEDs. That was ridiculous. That's what he said. And then another guy jumped to the octagon, didn't even sit between rounds. And it goes on, same, I wrestled in college and his pace was unlike anything I've ever seen. Of course, the smaller guys have better cardio, but holy shit. He's either the first of the next stage of human evolution or he's on EPO. Or maybe he's just built like that. I don't know. But goddamn. I really like this next comment because it balances out everything. And we know a certain community are going to come at it. You're just 18. You're just a haters. No. All these are balanced, valid opinions. And this guy put, although I've never bought the EPO accusations for Colby, Max, or even Usman, because Usman's a methodical fighter with his pace. Merab is nuts though. He's an explosive athlete who can go a full 25. It's just unheard of. It's unheard of. It's crazy. So now we've got some context on how these rumours started. It only perpetuated after Merab beat Cejudo, Henry Cejudo, an Olympic gold medal winning wrestler. Just take that in. And he just got ragdolled around the cage. He had no business being in there with Merab. He just had no business being in there. So these things just added fuel to the fire. They just made it worse. The rumours got bigger until one day when, in an interview, Merab slipped up. So he was being asked about his training regime. And that's when he said, EPO. Let's take a look. So this is a video I did a year ago on the Merab EPO situation where he slipped up. If you haven't watched it, go watch it now. I'll try and link it if I can, or if not, in the description. So go watch that now, then come back and watch this video from the start, restart it and watch it in full, because I need the watch hours so I can get monetized again. I'd appreciate it. Like, subscribe and comment. And yeah, let's have a look. Let's see what he did.
Morning training session I have to organize, which is,
so he's talking about, he's been asked questions. It's media day, it's UFC 298, he's being asked questions and they're asking about his training regime, and this is where it's in context.
I'm very busy. I'm going, you know, if I
EP For me, that just, whether he was going to say EPO or not, it's the context around it is important. The context around this is very important. And the context is that he was talking about his training regime, then he started going EP, and then he stopped himself. And whether he was going to say EPO or not, it just adds to this context and these rumors that are being circulating around that he's this superhuman cardio machine. But let's just imagine for a second that he's not doping. How could it be possible that he's achieving these results above everyone else? So we're going to have a look at genetics versus hard work and see which one can determine whether this is achievable or whether we're going to lean more towards it being performance enhancing drugs. Merab says he built this gas tank, not born with it, built it. He tells the story like it's simple. Years of training volume, ill sprints, non-stop sessions. He calls it suffering on purpose. But let's be real, this isn't polished technical cardio. This is pure chaos. Merab doesn't glide, he mauls. He doesn't conserve energy. He spends it faster than anyone else. He just never stops spending. Every second, he's shooting, scrambling, pushing, turning fights into pure survival drills. It's not beautiful technique, it's weaponized chaos. His success isn't about efficiency, it's about being relentless. Most fighters break because their body has a governor, a natural limit that says stop. Merab's governor, it just doesn't exist. And that's where the conversation shifts, because if this is truly built by training, why is no one else matching it? Let's talk about the science, because hard work can only get you so far. And I'm not quite buying the story that Merab's peddling. Hard work built this. Biology eventually intervenes and starts to laugh at you at some point. But with Merab, it's not. And the reality for most people is your body does have limits. And we're going to explain these and why it seems abnormal that Merab is not hitting these limits, because even professional athletes do. So your VO2 max, which is how much oxygen your body can actually use, that's not just trained, it's inherited. Studies show it's about 50 to 60% genetic. So we've got a 50-50 almost, like genetics and hard work, and there's a lot that goes into it. So we're going to start breaking it down. You can improve your VO2 max, sure, but only up to a ceiling. Everybody has a ceiling. That ceiling is genetic. So that's where this all grind only, this hard work ethic that Merab's talking about, it's bullshit. It's the story starts cracking up because there's only so much hard work you can put in before you reach your cap. So every fighter trains hard. Every fighter we know on the roster trains up. Well, there's a few exceptions in there. Matt Mitrione, Roy Big Country Nelson. There's a few exceptions. But the majority of fighters train hard. And at that elite level, they definitely all put in. So they all do ill sprints. How many times have we seen Trevor Whitman on that Red Rock Canyon hill with Justin Gaethje on Fight Week in the Embedded series? We see it every time, god damn it. I'm sick of seeing it. Let's do hill sprints, Gaethje, and it's the same episode every time. Anyway, they all gas when they fight Merab. Every fighter, every top athlete is gassing out when they fight in Merab. They're not even close to his level in terms of cardio, output, everything that he's doing. Like I said, he fought Henry Cejudo, who's a wrestler, an Olympic gold medal winning wrestler. For whatever reason, Merab doesn't gas out. He just keeps going like his body skipped the rules the rest of us have to follow. So think of it this way. Some guys are born with a Ferrari engine. Others are trying to race with a lawnmower. That's what it's like. I'm more like, I don't even think it's a lawnmower. It's like a pedal bike. So let's break this down. What do we actually mean by genetic ceilings? It comes down to really how your body processes oxygen resists fatigue, and recovers. That's what it comes down to. Take VO2 max, for example. That's the maximum amount of oxygen your body can use during exercise. You can improve it through training, but the ceiling is largely set by genetics. Scientists say around 50 to 60% of it is inherited. And then there's slow twitch muscle fibers. The endurance fibers, some people are just born with more of them. And you can't train your way into being built like a marathon runner if your body is wired like a sprinter, unfortunately.
Now let's have a quick summary. Slow fibers are seen in large quantities, in muscles that contract slowly, but maintain the contraction for a longer duration. They use oxidative metabolism for energy, so they are resistant to fatigue. Accordingly, they have a high number of mitochondria and a larger quantity of myoglobin, giving them a red appearance. Their glycogen content is low.
So what this nerd is saying here is slow fiber type 1s are built for endurance. That means the muscle fibers contract slowly, which allows them to keep going for a long amount of time. They use oxygen efficiently to produce more energy. And they don't fatigue as quickly because they rely on oxygen and fat as fuel. So what does this mean for an MMA fighter? Well, they can maintain a high pace and volume without gassing out, and the recovery between exchanges is faster, and they can keep shooting, keep scrambling, keep pressing like Merab does. It's the biological equivalent of a limitless stamina perk. Meanwhile, fast twitch dominant fighters, they're more explosive, can explode hard, more likely to be knockout artists. So not everyone's built the same, and the genetic edge is the uncomfortable truth. The ratio of slow twitch to fast twitch fibers is largely genetic. So you can train your fast twitch fibers to act more endurance-like, but you can't completely rewire your muscle composition. It's just not possible. Some people are born with 70 to 80% slow twitch fibers like marathon runners, triathletes, or apparently Merab. Most people around 50 to 50. So it's quite evenly split. Explosive sprinters or power punchers might have 70 to 80% fast twitch fibers instead. So if you've got a guy with 80% slow twitch and the mentality to train like a psychopath, you get someone who can literally drown opponents in pace, a bit like Merab. The question is, can you train it?
I'm not a fighter, but I watched a YouTube video, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, a little bit, but not this guy. High volume endurance work can slightly shift your fibers towards more oxidative behavior, meaning your fast twitch fibers can start to act a bit more like slow twitch ones, but you'll never be able to flip your biology completely. And that's why no matter how hard another fighter trains, they probably won't ever match Merab's output. Their engine simply isn't built the same way. Now, there's another determining factor on the science behind it, and that's lactate threshold. Now, I could explain it for you, but I'm going to let my mate TJ Pillishaw explain it to you.
He might be a diet genius as well.
I don't think so. I think it's genetic. So everyone's got a crossover point of when you start burning carbs. When you start burning carbs, you start producing lactic acid. So when I first met my coach, Sam Calavita, my crossover point was a heart rate of 141. Anytime my heart rate got above 141, I started burning carbs for energy. Everything before that, I was burning fat. Well, after I met Sam and I switched my diet up, I started training lactic threshold and doing the right kind of exercises to increase my heart rate. My new heart rate went to about 158. So from 141 to 158 is when I started burning carbs for energy. I increased my base from the way that I was training, the way I was eating. Now I trained my body and my mind specifically to learn how to be in that lactic threshold. Everyone's got one. Everyone's a little bit different genetically, right? So I'd be in the red zone when my heart rate got to, 170 to 185. That's like my lactic threshold. And when you're getting there, you're revving the engine to where eventually you're going to burn out. Well, I had to train that to not only make that zone larger, but also to train my mind to be able to stay in that zone and be able to deal with lactic threshold and not get tired. So you can train it, but also there's a lot of people, which I think Merab is this way, are genetically made to where they're gonna either burn carbs for energy later for the energy system, or they have a lactic threshold that's through the roof. And I think his mind, very mentally strong, he's been able to deal with being in that lactic threshold and not letting it break.
TJ Dillashaw is a known cheat. He got caught for using EPO. Now, you have to question the athletes that know the most about how the body works, the biology and the science behind it. There he explains the lactate threshold and how it benefits you to know what your lactate threshold is. Now, when lactic is produced, it isn't bad itself, it's actually recycled energy. But when it builds up too fast, your blood becomes acidic, your muscles burn, and your output just nosedives. So the point is the exact intensity where your body can't clear lactic as fast as it makes it is called your lactic threshold. So why it matters in MMA? Most fighters hit the wall fast, and that's because their arms feel heavy, their legs stop moving, their shots become slower. That's not cardio, that's lactic flooding the system. The higher your lactic threshold, the longer you can operate at high intensity before that burn hits. So Merab, he fights at a pace that would push more athletes well past that limit, yet he stays functional. That means his lactic threshold is elite. The lactic threshold can be trained, just like TJ said. However, genetics do play a part in it. They determine the ceiling, how far you can go. So the key factors in this are mitochondrial density, which is how efficiently your cells use oxygen, capillary density, how fast blood delivers and removes waste, then finally enzyme efficiency for clearing lactic. And that's why lactic threshold separates great cardio from superhuman cardio, and why Merab looks like a machine, because his body is literally resetting the fatigue clock faster than anyone else. Alright, let's say it is genetics. Let's say Merab really is one of those once-in-a-generation endurance freaks. And where's the proof? Because if you remember when Francis Ngannou was claiming to be the biggest puncher, the UFC was straight on that. They wanted to record it and market it. Why aren't they doing that with Merab? Why aren't they getting these tests run to market and sell him and brag about him? Why aren't his team doing it? Why aren't they putting it forward? Why isn't Merab doing it himself? Because if this is true, and this is a case of an elite physiology, we should have the numbers to back it up. And right now, we don't. We just don't have them. And if we had those receipts, here's what I'd want to see. Is VO2 max. That would show the oxygen engine number that separates elite from superhuman. Is hematocrit and hemoglobin levels, the blood's oxygen carrying the power tracked over time like a biological passport. Is lactic threshold curves, which would show how long you can stay redlined before crashing. Is heart rate recovery and HRV data, how fast the body resets between bursts. And finally, the DNA markers that define endurance genetics. If you had those markers, that would be an indication of a genetic freak of endurance. But we don't have them. We don't have the proof. So where is it? And that's the data you'd expect to see if someone was a true genetic outlier. But here's the real question. How likely is that one MMA fighter hits all of those markers? Because we're not talking about one lucky gene here. We're talking about the perfect storm. We're talking about a fighter with the VO2 max of a Tour de France cyclist, the lactic threshold of an Olympic rower, the recovery rate of a triathlete, and the aggression of a cage fighter. That level of physiology across the board is astronomically rare, even in endurance sports where the entire field is built around VO2 monsters. You might see one athlete in a decade that checks every box. So is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? Not really. For one fighter to have that many elite markers lining up perfectly and still have the will to train like a psycho on top of it, that's lightning in a bottle. The truth is we don't have the numbers because the data isn't public, or they just haven't tested. Privacy, competitive secrecy, and the fact that anti-doping agencies don't release raw physiology, fighters rarely publish lab work, and they don't have to. But that's why the debate never ends, because without numbers, all we've got is an opinion. So let me ask you, should champions share their anonymized physiological data to kill the rumors? Or is that crossing a line, demanding proof of something that they were just born with? Now let's flip it. If this was performance enhancing drugs, what would we actually expect to see? because people throw around the word EPO like it's monkey dust. If someone is using endurance drugs, there are patterns. So what does EPO do? EPO boosts your red blood cell count. More red blood cells mean more oxygen delivered to your muscles. More oxygen means you can go harder, longer, and recover faster. That's why cyclists abused it for decades, because it works. So here's the thing, if someone is microdosing EPO or manipulating blood volume, their biological passport almost always twitches. You'd see hematocrit spikes and reticulocyte drops, weird little rhythm changes in the blood data. The numbers just don't lie, even if the athletes do. As of right now, there are no public data points, no biological passport anomalies, and no failed tests connected to Merab. None. The suspicion comes entirely from optics, from what it looks like, not from any measurable evidence. And that's the brutal truth. Performance-enhancing drugs can mimic genetics, but genetics can also look like performance-enhancing drugs. So unless someone produces those blood curves, it's just talk. It's fair to be skeptical, but right now there's nothing in the data, public or private, that says Merab is cheating. And if you're going to accuse someone of doping, the burden of proof isn't on them, it's on our evidence. But for real, that guy is on everything. He's on EPO, he's on monkey dust, he's on the biggest bag of drugs Georgia can find. Man, he is insane. He's mental. He's absolutely mental. Honestly, there's no way he's not on drugs. There's absolutely, allegedly, from everything that we've discussed, there's no way he's not on drugs. It would be absolutely fucking mental for him not to be on drugs. This is alleged. It's all alleged. I've got no real proof, but look at it all. There's no way. It's mental. It's absolutely allegedly. Allegedly. I'm alleging. It's not. There's no evidence. But look at him. Look who's sticking up for. Look at everything. If you haven't listened, you're blind. You're mental. You're mental. It's all mental. Someone go test him. Someone go sneak a little fucking needle in him and get some blood. Because test that shit. Test it. Guarantee what it comes back up. Guarantee it comes back weird. Go test his blood. Just do it.
Merab's pressure, endless pace, cardio case, insane chase. Takedown city, pressure gritty, every round a wrestling race. People, the forums rage, endless tank, no need for rage. Cardio crazy, pace amazing, no one keeps that flow. Georgia hills, mountain drills, pressure kills, cardio thrills, Zahabi claims, born flames, Reddit threads, call his name, endless grind, wired mind, pushing boundaries, every fight, fans debate, speculate how edgy never fades away. Merab didn't start the fire, he just never tires, but the fans conspire. Merab didn't start the fire, he's a freak of nature, or a blood test cheater. Merab didn't start the fire.